Thank you very much for joining us. Um, as I said before, if you've just joined us, if you could just pop yourself on mute, but you're welcome to keep your camera on. This is going to be recorded, so it'll be sent out to people who couldn't make it today. Thank you so much for joining us. I can already see from the chat, those of you that have popped your name in there, we've got a range of different people with us, which is fab. I wanted to start a bit by kind of setting the scene. I think we're all quite familiar with young people with SEND. But we know from the stats that young people with SEND are more likely to have a higher rate of absences, they're more likely to be neat, and all of this has a negative impact on their futures. So their chances of being independent and successful, it's all decreased. And even recent evidence, there's been stuff that's been coming out of kind of support services that support people to become employed, and they've actually had really positive impacts on people's health outcomes and even their lifespan as well, which I think is not necessarily what people are expecting. So this kind of work can have a huge impact on people's lives ongoing. That's all to say that what I'm going to be talking about today in careers, it's not by any means a magic bullet. It's not going to sort everything and fix it. I know that you guys all do a huge amount of work in supporting young people to be successful, but we as a team, there's a couple of us here today, we really believe that careers can be a really good part and a crucial part of your toolbox that you're using. And it could be that for some of those young people that you're working with, it could make a huge difference to them, and could really impact their outcomes and their experience also with you at school as well. So my name's Eleanor, and I'm the SEND Enterprise Coordinator and Operational Hub Lead at Oxfordshire Skills Hub. I think there are 4 of us in total on the call today. And our big focus as a careers hub is to work with schools and colleges to integrate careers. In the past, careers, I think, has been a bit more of an add-on in schools, but embedding careers into a school's curriculum and thinking about how you can add it more to your offer can really bring about a big impactful change to your schools and your students. So although we mainly speak to careers leads, those are our kind of main contacts, and we are working with head teachers and senior leadership teams, and we have programs as well that work with teachers too. So to just go over, these are what I was hoping that you would get out of today. So I really want this session to be informative and to support you in the work that you're already doing. I know that you're all incredibly busy, and I don't want to add any more to your pile. I'm really conscious of that. So I want to gain some insights from you, kind of on challenges and barriers. As I said, to kind of put your hands up and ask questions. And you can use the chat, and I'll take questions at the end as well. I'd like to know how we can support you in your schools as well, and also hopefully help you to understand the roles of careers for young people with SEND in the preparation for adulthood. We'll have a few polls as we go through the webinar today. So please answer those. As we do have different people here, what I would ask is that if you're not a SENCO, if you feel like you know how your SENCO would answer, then please do answer it. But if you're not sure how they'd answer, it'd be better if you don't answer, because we don't want to kind of skew things. We want to get an idea of where we think people are in the county. And my next bit is about the actual agenda. So there's kind of 5 main areas I wanted to cover today. So I'm going to start by introducing you to the landscape of support for careers that's already around you. So that comes from the Careers and Enterprise Company and also from Careers Hubs. And I'll cover what good careers in schools looks like. So what we use something called the Gatsby Benchmarks to try and work that out. I'll go over the digital tools available to you and your schools, and then I want to cover the destination options before finishing by looking at the training and resources that you can use. So we've got our first poll, which is asking you about whether you've heard of us before. So whether you've heard of Oxfordshire Careers Hub or you've heard of Oxlab. If you could just answer there. Oh, Nikki, I think all of them might have come up, not just the first one.
Whoops, I only pressed, just answer the first one for now. I only pressed launch on the first one. Oh. Answer the first one for now, and then I'll fiddle around in the background and bring the other ones up later.
The thing with Teams, isn't it, is that it they update it so often. If you haven't used it, even over Christmas, it all changes. Have we got some results in? Should I keep going?
Yeah, no one's put any results in yet that I can see, but you might be able to see that as it's your call.
No, I can't, because I think it's your poll. I think people
can people see the polls? Yes, you can see the poll. Okay, perfect. If everyone could just answer the first one, that would be great. Thank you. Right,
Thank
keep
you.
going.
Yes, I can see there's a few responses. That's
Yeah.
great. Thank you. Okay, cool. I'll keep going. So starting off first of all with our careers hubs. So I just want to look at the overview and the purpose and the function of them. So we cover the whole of England, and there's lots of us. As you can see, we're in Oxfordshire, so we're a Department for Education funded project that's delivered by the Careers and Enterprise Company, and then we're kind of sent out into our local regions where we're match funded. So that match funding comes from Oxfordshire Skills. Don't need to remember all of these, but this is why there's so many names everywhere, because there's multiple people kind of supporting this project. So what's the Careers and Enterprise Company's mission? It's to help every young person find their next best step. So we do this by using high quality 21st century careers education. And the idea is this is for everyone and it's everywhere. So we work with schools and colleges by challenging and supporting them to deliver excellence. We work with employers to engage them for the long term, also trying to challenge them, but also supporting them as well. And then we work with people who face more barriers in finding their kind of successful futures by supporting them through different projects and activity that we do. So this is the priorities for the Careers and Enterprise Company. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but there's 5 main ones. And then this blue one, the 4th one, this is the one which is kind of the audience that we're talking about today. This is about our economically disadvantaged young people, those that face more barriers. And this is where young people with SEND come in. So every year we take these and we put them into our local area based on the need and what we see. So these are what our ones are. So we've got 5 as well. So for this year, we're working to continue to progress the quality of careers provision in Oxfordshire. So working with our careers leadership and our schools and colleges and trust and senior leaders as well. We are providing support for all young people moving on to positive destinations at key transition points. And we're working with a couple of different people and stakeholders to try to reduce the number of young people that are becoming NEET, especially focusing on those from disadvantaged backgrounds and young people with SEND. We're working with everyone to understand the local labour market and the key growth sectors and the various pathways available. We're particularly focusing on apprenticeships and technical routes. And when I say everyone, I mean students, so particularly from year 7 upwards, teachers, parents, carers, community, and anyone else in that kind of bubble of support around those young people. And then we are working to support young people to make sure that all of their aspirations are being raised, that they're ready through meaningful engagement with employers, and also throughout their kind of time in secondary education. We support our employers in the county to try and make them as inclusive as they can be, particularly with their school outreach, through developing activities and resources that meet the needs of the different cohorts of students. Whilst we're also conscious, and it's based on we're positioned to make sure that we're supporting the needs of the future Oxfordshire economy as well. So day to day, what does this actually mean? How do we support your schools? We're fully funded, as I said, by Department for Education. So there's no cost to the schools and colleges we work with, but we do just work with the state funded schools and colleges in the county. So each school and college is supported by an enterprise coordinator like me. So we work with our schools. We understand that every school is different. So we make sure that the support that we offer is tailored to those schools and their setting. And we work with them to develop a successful careers plan. Many of our schools have enterprise advisors, and this is a volunteer from business to support the school with careers programs. This is normally with a particular focus on an area like employer engagement, but it also could be if you want to do some evaluation or look at some data or numbers, it might be that they've got particular skills in that and can support you. I missed the Gatsby Benchmarks. So we also work with our schools, as I said, on the Gatsby Benchmarks, which I'll be coming to. And we do this by doing an evaluation on something called Compass, which I'll also be talking about. So this last one about the project. So as you saw from the previous slide, we have our priorities, which we update annually. And we do this to further impact on particular key areas that we feel that the county needs support with. So this year, we're running a project for disadvantaged Key Stage 3 students to have meaningful experiences of the workplace. We're running bespoke projects with schools with the highest number of NEET young people to support with that year 11 transition. And we've also been running training sessions with employers, working on how they can become more inclusive. And yeah, this is kind of, as I said, we look at this yearly and we update these as they need to. So I've got another poll for you. So this is just to get an idea about your knowledge about what the careers activity that happens in your school at the moment. So again, if you're not a Senko, but you think you know how they'd answer, please do answer the poll. Otherwise, if you could just, yeah, don't answer this one, that'd be great. Thank you. Now I can see you're answering. Thank you. Okay, so I'll jump on to the next bit. So the next bit is about the Gatsby benchmarks. And I know some of you know these, but just in case you didn't, I just wanted to make sure that we're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet. So there are 8 Gatsby benchmarks, and they're at the heart of careers guidance in England. So all of our schools and colleges work to meet these benchmarks, and they're looked at by Ofsted. Gatsby have just completed a review, and this shows that these benchmarks have been really successful. But there are a few tweaks to the wording. It's not a big deal at all, and these will come into practice over the next few years. It's nothing to be worried about, but if you do go away and start reading into them, you'll probably hear about the Gatsby review, and I just wanted to make sure you knew what that was. We'll obviously keep your careers leads up to date, but it's nothing. The 8 Gatsby benchmarks are staying the same. So yeah, there's different ones. So at the beginning, I think personally for me is the really cool one is about Gatsby Benchmark 1, and this looks at your stable careers program. So that's all of the strategy that sits behind what you're doing, and make sure that you know, all of that kind of boring planning and things, they're all there, those really important key things, which really helps when, you know, someone leaves, someone else can just pick it up and continue. You don't have to start from scratch again. Then Gatsby Benchmark 2 is that learning from the labour market. Benchmark 3 is where you guys come in, so making sure that what you're doing is addressing the needs of every people and their needs. So kind of challenging any stereotypes, but also supporting everyone to access everything and make sure it's accessible and things like that. Benchmark 4 is how you link careers into the curriculum. And then 5 and 6 are very much about engaging with employers. 7 is looking at that transition and the destination and those encounters so that young people can make those informed decisions. And then benchmark 8 is personal guidance. That's when a careers advisor comes in and has those conversations with your students. So we carry out assessments every term using a tool called Compass, which I'll go over briefly. This helps us to track the performance against these benchmarks and understand where our schools are strong and where they maybe need some more support. And we can provide training and resources and things to support them with that. If you do really want to go away and find out loads about this, I'm not saying you have to at all. This is the Send Gatsby Benchmark Toolkit. So this is how you can apply it, particularly in a special school, but also with different types of students. There's some really good best practice in there as well. So there's a link here there if you want to access it. But it's quite a long document, so please do not feel like you have to. But if you really want to, you can go away and have some light reading for another time. So the next bit I want to talk about is our digital careers tools. So these are Compass, and then I'm also going to talk about something called the Future Skills Questionnaire as well. This bit is more kind of, I guess, just for your awareness. So Compass is a free digital tool. It's available to all schools and colleges. And as I've said, it helps you to evaluate your careers activity, and at the end of it provides a confidential report so you can see, which is that picture on the left, kind of how you're doing against the different benchmarks. We ask schools to complete an assessment at least once a term. This just helps us have an accurate idea about what's going on and how people are performing and how we can support you. I would suggest that it might be helpful, if you haven't already, just to speak to your careers leader about this, so you know how they kind of what they're asked and how they assess this. And it might be that they're answering something saying it doesn't happen, but it might be that it is happening. So it just helps to join those dots a bit. You can have more than one user, so if you want to, you can kind of go in and have a look at stuff too. And when we have these meetings to do these assessments, I mean, we're really happy for any of you to join us, and it might be something that you do want to look at doing in the future. Again, not termly, but maybe once a year. It can just help everyone to know when we're all on the same page. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk about a few tools. These do need to be upgraded for, and some of your schools have done this, but others haven't yet. They are really good tools, and the feedback from schools where careers is really well integrated, they say how important and useful these are. So for those of you that kind of have upgraded to using them, I just wanted to make sure that you know how you could use them. And for others, you know, hopefully your schools will be upgrading and then you'll be able to access them too. So I'm just going to talk about Compass Plus first. So it's basically the upgraded version of the bit I've just spoken to. And it integrates with your school's MIS. So it also has additional tools in it, which help you implement and embed careers across the school. One of the best features, I think, is something called the Future Skills Questionnaire. So it's a set of questions that have been designed for young people in schools and colleges to think about their skills and their strengths and what they might like to do in the future. And then it kicks out a really simple data insight, which can support you to make targeted interventions. It helps you evaluate careers programs and identify the impact of careers education in your settings. But again, we've also had feedback from schools that it helps evaluate other areas of the school as well. So there's questions about numeracy and oracy, and how confident they are with it, but it also looks at their interests and their preferences. So it could be that certain areas students need to be supported a little bit more in certain areas of the curriculum, and you can pick that out. And you can also pull out certain groups, so you can separate the information by students that have SEND, students on free school meals, and also male and female, and then you can compare these groups, and again that can potentially help target interventions. There are different surveys for different points in the school, which is what I'm going to come on to next. So there's 4 versions. You've got year 7, year 8 and 9, year 10 and 11, year 12 and 13. And you only do this once a year. And I would say you only really need to do this really at one of those transition points. So we're talking about 4 times if they're with you until year 13. There's also a SEND version as well. This is specifically designed for SEND learners, and it's normally used in special schools or SEND settings. And it's designed to be used as part of a conversation about careers. So the reason I think the Future Skills Questionnaire is really valuable and could be used by lots of people across the school is that it can really support those careers conversations with learners. It can help improve those positive outcomes, and you can start identifying things when they first get to you in year 7 that can help you support them whilst they're with you. It can help kind of create more resource for careers because you're not having to have lots of conversations about things. You can send these as surveys and get an idea over time. And it means that there's kind of more curriculum time as well for specific interventions because you already have an idea about what their interests and things are. So schools that are already using this do use it in their EHCP reviews. And I know that they use it when they're talking to that kind of circle of support, so parents and carers and support staff as well. And it's just it's a lovely tool, I think. You can track young people the whole time they're with you, but you can notice particular things as well in terms of, do they understand the different interventions that you put in place? So if you've had lots of stuff in about apprenticeships or supported internships, you can then see, do they actually know what those are? Do they understand what those are? Yeah, so definitely if your school has upgraded to Compass Plus, and equally if they're using the Future Skills Questionnaire, I would just talk to your careers lead about this and see if there's any information that you can use from them. So my next one is about destinations, and ensuring that students with SEND have knowledge about all of the different pathways open to them is often something I found when I've worked with special schools and some mainstream schools is a little bit trickier because of their educational healthcare plans, there's different options and things that are open to them, and sometimes people don't necessarily know about these. So it's really important that everyone that's involved in supporting that young person to have that successful future is aware of the different opportunities for them and can support them in that decision making. And what we also know is that the earlier that we can start having the conversations about those decisions and those destinations, the better. There can often be a lot of anxiety and stress about where they're going to go, and particularly if they're very set or they think that this is where they're going, but actually there's another place that might be better for them. The earlier we can have those conversations, the better. So we've split these students into 2 groups, which I'll explain, just to help understand these different options. So these are posters, and I will be sharing them with you afterwards. but if anyone wants them, we can pop the links in the chat as well. So this first one is about students in SEND Group 1. So these are typically students who won't take level 2 qualifications or GCSEs, but they can enjoy career outcomes including supported employment, supported internships, inclusive apprenticeships, supported enterprise, and kind of other opportunities like that. And what tends to happen a lot of the time is that a lot of people don't necessarily know about these. So a lot of our young people are going into college and then spending some time in college when actually maybe they could have accessed these a little bit earlier. Some of these things as well have an age limit on them. So sometimes you can only kind of access them whilst you have an EHCP. So when you're kind of 25, some of these options aren't still available as well. So things like supported internships. I think it's either 21 or 25. I always get confused. But there's lots of different opportunities, and I'm pretty sure all of these are offered in our county. Yes, they are. And our colleges are normally the providers when it comes to that training element of it. And then when it comes to those ones, so like your supported internships, supported apprenticeships and things like that, the employer side of it is done by the supported employment team, which sits in the county council, and they work across a couple of different projects too, like supported employment as well. So yeah, definitely worth, I think, having these in your, if you don't have something like this is really helpful for parents and carers, but also for those young people when you're having those conversations to just talk about the different options. Now, our SEND Group 2 will typically take level 2 qualifications in GCSEs. So they enjoy the same career outcomes as their peers, so apprenticeships, university, college, employment or enterprise, but they don't often necessarily access all of these or feel they can because of different barriers. So again, I think something like this where you're like, look, you can access all of this, and making sure that we're really challenging all of those stereotypes and having really open conversations can help with that. I think sometimes having clear conversations with them about, you may not be accessing university right now at 18 because you need to go to college and get a top-up thing or something like that is a really useful conversation as well. I think once they leave you, sometimes there can be a bit of a gap, and once that kind of, they're out of the system, it can be harder to get them back in again. But yeah, hopefully these are useful tools for you, and I think useful to talk about all of the different pathway options, and try and kind of broaden people's horizons a little bit. So my next poll is just about how much you're working with your careers lead at the moment. So I'll just see. Thank you, Nikki. Give you a little bit of time to answer these. I should have added as well, these are all anonymous, so and it's not a test, so don't worry about how you answer these. Okay, I will keep going with the next bit. Ooh. So the next bit is about training and resources. And what I really wanted to emphasize in this section is that there's so much out there already, and we don't want you or your careers lead recreating anything or spending hours on anything at all. I picked a few bits out to highlight that we've had feedback that are really good, or things that I think look great, to be quite honest, and things that I think are really worth looking at. So to start with, we're just going to have a look at some training. So there's a platform called the Digital Hub. All schools and colleges have access to it, and you just log in using that link there and set up an account, and then you get access to all of these courses here. It's pretty straightforward. The ones in red and yellow, I think, are the ones that are worth doing, or the ones that I've prioritized. The blue ones are there to help kind of work on those digital tools that I was talking about before. I definitely look at that Senko one at the bottom that I kind of emphasized in with more red. That's the one that's been designed for you, and this is kind of what it looks like. So they're self-paced courses. They are, you can come back to them, kind of you do a bit and you run out of time, you get interrupted, you can log in and come back to it. They don't normally take a huge amount of time, and there's videos and different questions and stuff as you go through them. They often pose questions to you to get you to think about things, and it may be worth doing this perhaps with your careers lead, or obviously you can do it on your own. then the next bit is the resources. So again, there's a few bits on here, and I've done some local and national ones. And I've also popped some places where there's kind of more resources for you to have a look at. Again, I'm not asking you or suggesting you go and have a look at all of these, but I just, in case any of these sound particularly interesting or useful, I just wanted to put them here. So I'll start with the local ones. So at the top, we've got our Oxfordshire LMI site called Your Futures. We made this a few years ago now. So this is the kind of picture on the top left of that bit, and then the really colourful grid at the bottom. So we've looked at all of the sectors in Oxfordshire and then at the different roles within them. And we have example roles, so it gives you information about the roles, things like accessibility information, like work hours and things like that. And the jobs are also traffic lit, sorry. So that bit there that says health and social care jobs, that is the green means that there are no qualifications needed. Amber is that there might be, or it's more likely that like they're little like CPD kind of courses. And then red is that you do need qualifications for those. So when you're talking to somebody, it can just help when you're having a look at different sectors or particular jobs to help them see which jobs that they would kind of find easier to apply for and ones that might be a bit more of a challenge based on qualifications and things that are needed. There's also a section on there as well, which has information about transition points as well. It's called the Information Hub, and it's got information on apprenticeships, supported apprenticeships, and things like that. And also kind of different resources and support services, charities and things like that may be able to support them. This is a website that we own and we continue to manage. If there are particular jobs on there that you have students that are interested in that we haven't put on there, please let us know, because we can add those to there and make sure that there's kind of things on there for your students. But if you haven't seen this or heard of it, I would suggest having a look and just seeing the different options, because it can be really useful when you're having conversations. We've also had feedback from parents and carers that they find it really useful as well. Then we've got the Picks of the Week newsletter. So this is that kind of square in the middle. It says Oxford Skills at the top. This comes out every Tuesday of term, and it's available. I mean, anyone can sign up. It is aimed primarily at careers leads. So I've put links there for the past issues. I think there's a search function, but I'm not suggesting you go back and look at them, but it's useful if you've kind of lost it or something like that. That's where they are. And then there's a link there for you to join it as well. You can always join it and then unsubscribe, or join it, not look at it, whatever, but it is there. We every week, all of us get lots of emails about all of the different careers things going on, and this is us kind of collating it into one document. So the idea is it's meant to make it easier for people. And then we also put local Oxfordshire stuff on there and anything that we particularly want to communicate to. I've got our Careers Hub website there, and then we've also got a resource library as well, which is that picture kind of on the bottom left with the blue banner. That's got some lesson resources. So when you're embedding careers in the curriculum, we've got employers in the county who've created lessons to link with curriculum aspects and to talk about how what they do can link with different topics in schools. We've also got some like different PowerPoints and presentations on there. Your careers leads are aware of this. So again, I'm not suggesting you go in and learn what everything is in there or anything like that, but it's just to have an awareness of it. And it might be that when you're having a conversation with your careers lead, there may be resources in there that you can use. Again, not recreating the wheel. So from the national kind of stuff, I really like this pack from Nason, a Securing Good Transitions pack. I think it's really helpful. They have some other resources as well on there, which if you don't know about, might be worth having a look at. There's a really great auditing and planning tool for SEND careers provision and mainstream. And these tools are designed to be done between a SENCO and a careers lead. So if you're talking to your careers lead already, or that's kind of what you want to go and do, would really suggest maybe having a look at some of these tools. It can just help structure those conversations a bit and help maybe put in some future plans about things you want to work on or develop. I know people often really struggle with vocational profiles. I get a lot of questions about what should we use, which one. This is the one I often recommend, and it can be really, we've had schools increasingly, particularly special schools, using it when they send their students off for work experience. It's a really helpful way, I think, to take a young person to be able to articulate what they're good at, what they maybe need some more support with, but in language and in a way that an employer can understand and everyone can understand. It's a very easy to read and accessible document for everyone involved. It can be really empowering for a young person as well to be able to develop this and fill it in, to look at what they can do and what they might want to do. So if you don't know what to use, or you haven't really looked at them, those can be really great to use. And last but not least is the CEC resource directory. So it looks like this. So you're aware, please don't go and dive into this because there's a lot in there, but you can filter by different stuff. So you've got your send group 1 and 2 by different audiences, and if it is appropriate for send, it will have that little like send badge on it. But yeah, just so you're aware when you do look at it, that's kind of what it looks like. So I've got one last poll, which is just to get an understanding from you about what further communication or events you might like on Careers Hub or what we do. This one's multiple choice, so please click as many options as you think would be useful. So anything that we can support you with. If there are any other things that we haven't covered there that you think that you would like, please just pop any ideas into the chat and we can look at kind of picking those up at another point. Give you some, because there's lots of words in this one, so I'll give you a bit of time to read through it. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. Nicola can only include one response. I would suggest
give me 2 seconds. Does anyone mind if I delete? I'm going to delete it and post it again. Sorry,
okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
Give me 2 minutes, Eleanor. If you want to carry on talking,
okay, that's fine.
Then I'll do it because I think it's really important we get everyone's
yeah. No, that's fine.
That. So
no, absolutely.
Give me 2 minutes to just retype that one.
I'll go on to my last bit and then we'll come back to the poll. So this was my idea about what the next steps might be, but you're all in different stages, so you will know what suits you best. If you don't already work with your careers lead, or it's a bit of kind of a ad hoc thing, perhaps get a meeting in with your careers lead. Look at how you are currently working together or what you might like to do in the future. Perhaps some of the things I've talked about today you'd quite like to have a look at with them. We'd love for you to come to any of our careers evaluation meetings and that tool, either Compass or Compass Plus, and look at how the school's performing and what you may be doing already. It's an opportunity to meet your school's enterprise coordinator, and also, if your school has one, your enterprise advisor, so that person from business who supports your school. And I guess your enterprise advisor is often a little bit like a governor, so it's an additional person who can support you internally with what you're doing, and it may be that they have particular skills or something that you may be able to use or could be beneficial to some of the students that you're working with. I'd really recommend you have a look at those courses that I highlighted on the Digital Hub. I think they're on slide 26. I might have changed. And I'll be sending these slides out afterwards, so all of the links and everything will be in there. But yeah, it's an easy course, and as I said, we've had really positive feedback about it. These are our contact details. So if you want to contact the Careers Hub generally, these are our contact details. For anyone that's got LinkedIn, we post a lot on LinkedIn. That makes us sound like we're like on social media all the time. We post a lot of updates, but we also do share a lot of what our schools are doing, because quite a few of our schools use LinkedIn. So we share what people are doing, we share different opportunities, and lots of the employers that we work with around the county follow us on our LinkedIn and engage a lot with us as well. So we found it a really good platform to kind of merge our schools and employers and getting them to work a bit better together. So you've got my one there, and you've got the Central Careers Hub one. And then my last thing is just about questions, but I'm going to hope that the poll is done. Sorry to put pressure on you, Nikki. There we go. Perfect timing. So yeah, again, this is multiple choice. So if you could, I'm sorry if you answered it before, if you could answer it again, that would be great, and choose as many options as you want. That would be great. And I will stop sharing my screen because it's just questions. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions or wants to let us know about anything or to suggest anything, you can either type in the chat or feel free to unmute. Sorry, it was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but I'm conscious it's the end of the day, so I didn't want to have you here all day. And as I said, I'll be sharing the record. I think it'll come from OCC, the video recording and the PowerPoint. And we'll put all of the links in there as well. There's also, I got sent today from DWP, the Disability Advisors. They are running some workshops specifically for people in SEND settings to help raise awareness about the offer that they have for people with disabilities when they become adults. So what the Job Centre does, but also the different benefits as well. So they sent that out today. I will include that in the email as well, because I think it's something that we find a lot, is that young people can leave school, don't necessarily know, and then there's a gap, and it takes them out of the loop in the system for a while. And when you, I think I said earlier, when you lose that momentum, it can be hard to pick it up again. So please do, have a look at that when that comes through as well. And has anyone got any questions or feedback? Always the bit, isn't it, when I only ask questions. What did I write? I wrote a question down. I just wanted to know if there was anything in particular, if we do future kind of webinars. A couple of people have said that they would like to develop their knowledge or to hear about best practice. If there's any particular topics you would like on. So often some things we talk about are kind of employer engagement and the importance of involving employers in what's happening in school. I think there's often a disconnect, and that can make that moving into employment and employability a bit difficult. We talked about best practice, hearing what other people are about, other particular challenges that you have or things that you would like to hear about. That would be really helpful if you could share any insight into that. That the CC has the way in. Georgia, I'm just trying to, I might be misunderstanding, but your question, Georgia, when you said the CC has the way in, what do you mean by that with SEND Group 1?
So you were saying about the county council would support things. So how do we access that? It's not a route that I'm aware of. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. With SEND Group 1, it's particular courses. So it was the like supported internship, supported employment, things like that. Those courses are, I guess, made up of two arms. So one arm is that like employability side, and then there's normally one day or particular skills that they're working on around employability that they kind of class as classroom based. So that bit's taught normally in colleges or by a training provider kind of thing. And that employability bit is done by they sit in the county council, but then I guess they're the county council. So it's just supported employment team in the county council. I can share the link to their website, and then they have like the usual, you submit a form. They do go into schools. They're happy to come in and talk about what they do and the different courses they offer. So that might be a way to either just to come in and talk to you or to talk to a couple of different staff members, but they will also come in and talk to students. They go to quite a lot of the special schools and talk about what they do. Does that help?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. And then also in terms of some of those courses, because they're run through the colleges, particularly through Activates. So normally City of Oxford is normally the big one. They can talk about it as well. So if you're ever talking to them, I think sometimes we think colleges just do one course, but they do so much, and they do the training provider part of a lot of these courses. So it might just be worth asking them to talk about their full range of courses and not just focusing on what they think you want to hear. That might also be a way to do it. Thank you. Anyone else got any questions? That's fine. I shared our contact details, so I'll put those in the email that should come out to you as well. If you have any other questions at a later date, or you want to have any more conversations with us, we're really happy to do that. We really want to work more with more members of schools. So please do get in touch with us. We're happy, even if you think it's a stupid question, please just ask us. We can, I think we're often, I was saying to someone today, my job is literally linking people, I feel like, a lot of the time. And so I do a lot of signposting. I often don't know the answers, but I might know someone who does know the answers. So I can try and save you some time if you've got particular questions. Just send them over to us. If that is it, I feel like I'm a teacher. I'm not a teacher, but you can go. You're dismissed. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you for answering the polls, and I hope this was useful. And yeah, please do get in touch and use us as much as you would like to. Thank you very much, everyone.